Hello and welcome. This is the second addendum video to Columbia Basin Research's multi-part series on using program ATLAS, which stands for Active Tag Life Adjusted Survival. This addendum video introduces the new edition of the Reduced Virtual Release with Dead Fish Correction ViRDCt verdict study design to the program. ATLAS is a program created by Columbia Basin Research at the University of Washington School of Aquatic and Fishery Sciences with funding provided by the Bonneville Power Administration and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Program ATLAS allows users to analyze the survival of migrating smolts in the Columbia River Basin using acoustic and radio tagging data. The software is also generally applicable to other release recapture studies using active tags. Active tagging technologies allow increased flexibility in designing survival studies, but also introduce the problem of tag failure. Tag failure can be the result of mechanical or battery failure and cannot be distinguished from mortality in release recapture studies. Therefore, the perceived survival estimates, the probability of a fish and tag being alive, must be adjusted for the probability of tag failure to obtain a bias-corrected survival estimate. Today in this addendum video, I'm going to show you the ins and outs of the reduced verdict model and its inclusion in program ATLAS. Alright, so let's fire up the program. You can see here on the splash screen that I can now choose the reduced verdict release model as the selection option from version 1.9.3 onward. You can now see from the edit menu in the main ATLAS window that you can select change study design to now select the reduced verdict release model from within the program itself. I've loaded in a tag history file, attribute group file, and a tag life data file so I can show you what's different as we go through the reduced verdict model within the program. Let's get into the nuts and bolts about what this study design actually is. The reduced verdict study design is used to estimate the probability of dam passage survival using a virtual release at the dam face and a dead smolt release in the dam tail race. The virtual release requires exactly 2 downstream detection sites, and the dead smolt release requires 1 downstream detection site. Like the full verdict model described in Addendum Video 1, the reduced verdict model is used to analyze data from the virtual release dead fish correction study design. The difference is that the reduced verdict model does not use tailwater detections from the dead fish release. It only uses dead release detections in the tail race. The reduced verdict model can be used instead of the full verdict model when there are no dead fish detections in the tailwater, or if the dead release detections are too sparse for estimation with the full verdict model. If there are detections in the tailwater, they will be ignored by the reduced verdict model. Please be aware that if you wish to account for dead release detections in the tailwater via the full verdict design, that you will want to switch from the reduced verdict study design to the full verdict design and then clear and reload your data. The release groups are defined in nearly the same way as for the full model. The reduced verdict model requires exactly 3 detection sites for the live releases and 1 detection site for the dead fish release, the tail race site. If there are 2 detection sites for the dead fish release, detections at the second site will be ignored. Here you can see a tag correction report for a reduced verdict study. In contrast to the full verdict example, there is only 1 downstream detection site for the dead fish release. Unlike the full verdict model, closed form estimates exist for the reduced verdict model. Here you can see an example of a closed form parameter report. This report is available only if there is only 1 bin and only 1 upstream release in the virtual release. Now let's look at the parameter report for the reduced verdict model. In this example, the detection probability has been fixed to 1.0 at the tail race in order for the parameters to be estimable. For the reduced verdict study design, no parameters can be equated. The only survival parameter for the reduced verdict study design that may be constrained by the logit function is the dam survival, as seen here. The capture parameters, including the combined survival and capture probabilities in the last reach for each release group, may be fixed to 1.0 as shown here. This has been Addendum Video 2 on using program ATLAS, in which we covered the reduced virtual release with dead fish correction verdict study design. Please note that if for any reason you're having trouble with program ATLAS and these videos are not sufficient to answering your questions, you can find the user manual at cbr.washington.edu/analysis/apps/atlas. You can find the PDF manual there. If you're using program ATLAS and you have any questions or comments, on that same page you can give feedback via our user satisfaction survey. We would greatly appreciate any feedback you have in helping make future versions of this program to be more useful to our users. We hope that this video helps you get the most out of program ATLAS. Again, if you have any questions or comments in regard to program ATLAS, please fill out our survey as previously detailed. You can also contact Columbia Basin Research at web@cbr.washington.edu. Best of luck on your analyses, and thank you.